To learn more about earning college credits with study hall courses, go to gostudyhall.com or click the link in the description. Imagine you're watching one of those ultra cute videos where animals become best friends, like a piglet and a puppy. Just something super happy and wholesome. Now, imagine your friend is in the room next door and has to watch the saddest videos ever. The first 5 minutes of Up, or the last 5 minutes of Bridge to Terabithia. You and your friend are both handed a piece of paper and asked to come up with a list of activities that you'd like to do next. Riding the high of the piglet and the puppy, you're able to come up with a pretty decent list of 10 things. But your friend is so torn up over Terabithia that they can only imagine 3 or 4. This scenario is based on a real psychology study that shows how feeling happy also makes you more creative and open-minded. So sorry to all the emo bands out there. It's just one study in a large body of research that shows how being happy can bring us better careers, better relationships, and even help us live longer. How? Well, let me fill you in on the secret to happiness. I'm Deja Fitzgerald, and this is Study Hall, Intro to Psychology. When you think of psychology, happiness may not be the first thing that comes to mind. If you're on social media, even a little bit, anxiety or trauma are probably much higher on the list. But in the 1960s and 70s, psychologist Dr. Martin Seligman had been studying depression, and it made him feel, depressed. So he decided to start studying happiness and well-being instead. And not many psychologists were doing that at the time. The result was positive psychology, the field that explores our positive mental states like happiness, joy, and satisfaction, our positive character traits like kindness or love, and the subjective psychological concept of what makes our life worth living. Now, generally, we all know what happiness is. It's being at home with your pets, vibing to Mac Miller. Okay. Technically, it's a positive emotion, connected with joy and enjoyment. We might use happiness to refer to a temporary emotion, like I'm so happy I got sushi for lunch, or a general overall state of being, like that sushi chef has a super positive vibe. But the scientific term for all of that is subjective well-being, which refers to both your emotions and your outlook. So you have subjective well-being if you often experience positive emotions, and have a more stable, long-term experience of life satisfaction. In other words, it's about how good you feel in your life and how good you feel about your life. Nowadays, positive psychology has become relatively mainstream. Like at Yale, psychologist Dr. Laurie Santos found that her class on happiness quickly became the most popular class in the history of the university. And there are tons of podcasts and pop science books on the subject. But because happiness and positive psychology have become more mainstream, we need to be careful because it can be expressed in unhelpful ways. Sometimes influencers or self-help gurus promote toxic positivity, which is when we project negative emotions or experiences, refusing to feel sad or reflect on unpleasant memories at all. And that's not what we're talking about here. For the purposes of this episode, we are focusing on happiness, but it's not an either-or situation. As humans, we experience a range of emotions, and the ways we feel about and respond to our lives aren't always entirely in our control. Being happy isn't exactly easy. Like, positive psychology isn't some manifestation magic wand that we can just use to alakazam difficult or systemic problems, like generational trauma or the death of a loved one. To paraphrase the cinematic classic Mean Girls, we can't just bake a cake made of rainbows and smiles and make everyone happy.
She doesn't even go here.
Instead, we're talking about science-backed methods to foster genuine joy. If you encounter something unpleasant, toxic positivity would ask you to pretend that sadness never existed. Positive psychology would ask you to reframe your thinking around this difficulty, or even acknowledge your sadness while also seeking out joy. Because sadness does exist. And so does fear and anger and lots of other negative emotions. And from an evolutionary perspective, they exist for a reason. Fear is super useful. It helps us avoid danger. And anger helps us stick up for ourselves in social situations. But what about being happy? What does that do? And why is it so important? Well, this is the question psychologist Barbara Fredrickson helped answer in the late 1990s. She's the one who did that experiment with the videos that we referenced earlier, because people were able to brainstorm more ideas when they felt happy. She developed her broaden and build theory of positive emotions. According to her framework, positive emotions like happiness make us more likely to explore, be creative, or try something new, where negative emotions invoke specific responses, like how fear makes us compelled to run away from danger. Positive emotions like happiness, joy, love, or curiosity seek to broaden our actions. And being in this broadened state of awareness helps us to build resources that we can rely on in the future. Let me explain what I mean. Imagine there are two college students, Harper and Uriah. Like any college students, they go through a range of experiences and emotions. Some semesters feel really hard and stressful. They have a hard time balancing their course loads, jobs, and social lives. They don't necessarily feel very happy, but at other times they feel great. They find their classes interesting, they're able to manage their time and activities well, and their social lives are thriving. And let's say this semester, Harper feels super happy. Uriah, not so much. Here's how that can affect them. When Harper has some downtime, she's interested in trying new things and joining new clubs like water polo or the Women in STEM Club. Harper is building something called a thought-action repertoire. Her thinking is expanding to be more curious, and her actions are diversifying as well. When Uriah has downtime, he's not socializing much at all. And he mostly does the same activities day after day. His thought-action repertoire stays the same, not growing, not shrinking. Meanwhile, Harper is also building her skills. Her body is getting stronger because of all the swimming, and she's building a valuable support system with her Women in STEM Club. When Harper struggles with a complicated calc problem set, her study group explains some of the answers. When Uriah is cramming for a midterm, he goes it alone. Harper's happiness also helps her become more resilient and better able to handle stress. During an oral presentation in class, she can calm her racing heart rate better than Uriah can. And when Harper and Uriah both fail a test, look, it happens to the best of us, Harper is able to rebound faster because she's able to channel her emotions more effectively. Now, happiness is just one piece of the puzzle. There are other factors that play a role, like genetics, where and how you grew up, and the opportunities that are available to you. But according to hundreds of studies from many different types of research, not only is happiness linked to success, but it actually precedes success. It's not just success in your schooling or career either. These studies show happiness helps our relationships. Happiness makes us healthier. People who improve their subjective well-being used up less sick days after. And happy people even live longer. No matter how you define success, being happy is almost certainly going to help you achieve it. But keep in mind, being happy isn't exactly easy, and it's super annoying when the internet keeps telling you to just drink water and have positive vibes. But the good news is, there are things you can do to improve your subjective well-being. When it comes to feeling happier, there isn't any sort of secret recipe. I promise I won't tell you to just add water. And that makes sense. Subjective well-being is a multi-dimensional concept, so improving it needs to touch every part of our lives, which means we can make improvements to our physical health, our mental health, our social lives, our finances. There's a lot of things we can do. First of all, it's a lot easier for your brain to be happy when your body is taken care of. So that means that sleep, exercise, and healthy eating are all linked to improved mental health and well-being. So eat your greens, get some steps in, and get yourself to bed. And okay, fine, drinking water might help a bit. And once your physical needs are met, now we can get to the mental stuff. And importantly, research shows that contemplative practices, things like meditation, journaling, reflection, can also improve subjective well-being. Other people are critical to our well-being too, but that doesn't mean you need to turn into an extroverted party animal overnight. This is more of a quality over quantity thing. Strong friendships can be critical for lifting us up after sad events. A social support system is something we all need for long-term satisfaction. Our social lives are more than friends and family though. Even talking to strangers can benefit our happiness. In one experiment, people commuting on a train were divided into 3 groups. One would do nothing different from usual on the train, one would deliberately ignore strangers, and the other would have to start a conversation with a random stranger. That may sound like a nightmare to you, but that's my everyday. And surprise, people who talked to strangers actually ended up really enjoying it and having a better commute. And evidence shows that committing small acts of kindness, even holding doors for strangers or paying a drink order forward, is actually beneficial for our happiness. So I guess there's truth to the statement, happy to help. This is one reason why improving happiness can improve our societies altogether. Happy people are more likely to take action on fixing societal problems, everything from climate change to systemic racism. In one study of over 1 million people across the entire world, people with a higher life satisfaction were more likely to donate money and time to others. Happy people make for a happier society. And on that note, what about money? We've all heard that money can't buy happiness, but many of us question whether that's true. So what does the science say? Well, when money is tight, things like rent and car payments and buying groceries can cause a lot of stress in one's life, which tends to decrease happiness. So more money can increase your happiness, up to a point. After accumulating a certain amount of money, though, the benefits start to level off. So as long as you have enough money to pay bills, the way you spend your money is more critical. The more you spend your money on experiences or other people instead of objects, the happier you'll be. So buying tickets to a museum or flowers for your mom might be money better spent than adding more video games to your cart. Though I would argue that the thrill of diving into a new game is unmatched. These are just some of the biggest patterns positive psychologists have found when it comes to achieving happiness. But keep in mind that we're all unique. What makes your friend happy might not make you happy. Like maybe your friend wants to book a vacation at a resort and spend the whole time sipping frozen margs while you want to backpack in another country. Your experience might involve more stress and negative emotions like frustration over bus schedules and anxiety at not speaking the language. But if those emotions feel right to you, they are more likely to make you happy. This also applies to cultures. If your culture values a quote-unquote negative emotion, it can still benefit your well-being to seek out that emotion. For example, in a culture that values personal achievement, emotions like pride and anger may be valuable for reaching individual goals. So it may feel right to pursue pride, anger, and achievement to fit in with your culture. In short, pursue the right emotions for you, even if they may be negative for others, to make yourself happier. But me, I'll stick with my sum up bar, thank you very much. The secret to being happy is actually pretty basic. As much as you are able, take care of your needs. Prioritize sleep, exercise, friends, and positive experiences. Be grateful, be mindful, and if something feels right to you, try to follow that instinct. Not only will this make you happier, but it will make you more successful in whatever your goal is. A better education, better career, better marriage, better family life, better pizza. You name it. Being happy probably makes it easier. And more than that, being happier will benefit your society too. But remember, positive psychology isn't just looking up cute puppy videos and hoping everything gets better. It requires consistent work. And the good news is, the reward is pretty sweet, probably even sweeter than a cake made out of rainbows and smiles. If you're enjoying Study Hall Intro to Psychology and are interested in taking an online course and earning college credit, go to gostudyhall.com or click on this button to learn more. Thanks for watching. See you next time.